introducing yourself, your name, and the name of your channel?
Sure. My name is Adam Wickens. I run Wickens Wicked Reptiles on YouTube and Instagram and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And would you say you have like a favorite platform?
I would say YouTube, because that's just like where people watch me, and everything else I'm struggling on, like a flounder. So YouTube for sure.
You do a really good job of getting a hook in your titles and your title cards. Was that something you perfected over time, like learning how to share something that will get people to watch?
Yeah, it took a while, but I think that it's a title and thumbnail with a video is the same as like setting up a joke, where you kind of want it to be a surprise at the end. So you kind of give people an idea of what it is that you're going to see, and then you give them something what they expect, and then the unexpected at the end of the video to keep them so that they hit subscribe and watch the next one.
What got you into reptiles?
Great question. So when I was 5 years old, I was in kindergarten, and our librarian had a husband who ran like an animal sanctuary and like or something like that, right? So he brought in tortoise, so I caught a tortoise and a ball python and a few other animals, and I saw these things, and my jaw, I've never picked it up off the floor since that day. So, and I'm also the same height as when I was 5, so it's still there. But I've never lost my passion for reptiles, but that day definitely started it, and the passion behind the channel is maybe I can be that person for somebody else.
What made you realize that you could make it into a career being like an animal educator?
I never thought so. So the reason I started the channel, I'm a comedian, a guy that I do shows for. He's like, you should start a channel, and you have the, you have this personality, you have a camera, you have reptiles. And then it just kind of grew and grew slowly. And everything I've ever done that I've ever been successful at, comedy, bodybuilding, whatever, I jumped in with both feet and I just kept going, and I give myself a year. And if nothing happens after a year, then I'm done. But at around 9 months, I started to gain some traction, and at a year, I finally hit my first big video. So then at that point, I realized maybe there's something here.
Do you have like a favorite animal or a favorite subject you like to do?
Yeah, so I like top fives. And the reason that I like the top fives is because everyone knows what to expect. You know exactly what you're getting yourself in for. You know how long the video is going to be. And it's just a great, five's a small enough number. It keeps your attention. But my favorite animal to teach with, I think, is my bearded dragon, because Diamond is just so not scary. He's big enough that he's impressive. You can see him. You're not going to hurt him. But at the same time, he's not big enough that he's going to be scary. And I think that if I was a child, I'd be like, oh, that's cool, not scary.
Do you feel like you get a lot of feedback from people watching, like with positive responses to that?
Yeah. So, well, even here today, so I'm meeting all these people, and every question all the time is, well, first of all, I can't believe how short you are. That's the first one. Second one is always, so where's Diamond? Where's the dragon? You look so weird with a dragon on your chest. I didn't even recognize you up there, right? So I get a lot of positive response, and people now associate me with an animal that is kind of an ambassador animal. So yeah, I guess that's my long-winded answer to your very simple question.
Since you were originally like thinking your career would be comedy, and now you're kind of discovering this reptile thing, are you hoping to combine them or have a double life situation?
Well, it's definitely, double life is a great way to put it, because so I have comedian friends who know me as a comedian, and then I'll say to them, oh, if you have a kid, you should watch my channel. And they know me as the comedian, and they cannot watch my comedy. So they look at my YouTube channel and they're like, who is this guy? I don't even know this guy. And then my audience will find my comedy and they'll be like, who the heck is this guy? This is not the same guy. So it would be that comedy is my passion. There is nothing more on this earth that I love than standing on a stage and shouting my stupid jokes at people's faces and making them laugh. And if anything, I'm going to use this platform to launch my comedy career a little bit more seriously. Once I get into the hurdle is in Canadian comedy. Like, name one Canadian comic who still lives in Canada. Name one. You can. So I guess that's the hurdle.
How many pets do you have at home? And do you think that being on YouTube has like kind of inspired you to do more?
Yeah. So when I started the channel, I think I had 12 animals, something like that. And then, but at the time I also had a sales job, and right. So, but now it's like my full-time thing. So I've got more time and that's all I do. So now I have 90 something animals, but a lot of them are like dart frogs, for example. So I have like dart frogs in one enclosure, and there's 6 of them, right? So it's in like a big Zoo Med enclosure type thing, right? So I think that, yeah, I definitely have more because of YouTube, but also I have more time than I ever did. So I can give more time to my 90 animals than I could to my 12 before I made this my full-time thing.
What was like your first pet?
Okay, so my first pet reptile. So when I was a kid, I was obsessed with reptiles, right? I watched Steve Irwin religiously, like, yeah, my mom had to break the news that he died. Like, it was my first day of grade 10. I remember she left like a note on my keyboard, like sit down for this. Like, I was obsessed with Steve Irwin, right? So, but I wasn't allowed to have reptiles. My mom's still afraid of snakes. She still won't go in my basement. you know, it's creepy and there's snakes in there. But my first reptile, I decided when I was 18, my parents started to charge me rent. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm paying to live here, then I'm doing whatever I want with this space. So I had this girl that I worked with, and she had 2 bearded dragons in the same enclosure, male and female, and we all know what happens. So, right, a bunch of eggs popped out. She needed to separate them. So she's like, come over to my house. So I went over to her house, and she plopped Jackson, my first bearded dragon, in my hand. And she's like, all right, this is yours. Go get an enclosure. We had a guy who had an enclosure and the whole thing. So Jackson, and then I eventually got the other bearded dragon, and then I got a leopard gecko named Cheech, who I still have. Right, Jackson has passed away, but yeah. So my first one was a bearded dragon, and then I had a leopard gecko as my second, and I still have that animal.
Do you have any closing thoughts or an inspiration for future animal keepers you want to share?
Yes, and I'll creepily look directly at you when I tell you this. So, if you want to do this, if you take inspiration from guys like me and Brian and Dave and everybody, like all these guys who do this for a living, you can too. My advice would be pick a lane, whatever you're interested in, do what you love, and the money will follow. I never thought in a million years this would be my full-time job, but it is, because I consistently did it. I dove in with both feet. Don't dip your toe in and test the water. Decide what you want to do and do it. Whatever it is that you want to do in life, take it and it will be yours. You just have to work unbelievably hard and never give up. And when people tell you no and when nothing happens, keep moving forward through those barriers, and that's it. If this is your passion, make it your living. That's it.